Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday, the big question of the week, this week with Nigel Baker. Hey, Nigel, welcome back.
I'm back again, and my cup of tea's got cold after 4 days of doing this.
Yeah, we should have stopped at the end of every day to warm up the cup of
coffee.
tea.
Definitely should have done. Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about success for Scrum Masters in a minute. But Nigel, share with us first, what's your favorite Agile retrospective format and why?
Okay, I'm going to be so controversial here. This is deep controversy, right? I've got, in fact, two favorite formats, right? Both are not formats, right? But they are different, and why? Okay, so my key thing is, because here's the problem with the Scrum Master, right? You find a format you really like. Maybe it's doing silent writing, maybe it's post-its on a wall, the 4 quarters. But the trouble is, if you use it more than a few times, these things age like milk. You know, as a Scrum Master, your team are like, oh, yeah, what should we do differently? And then sprint 2, they're like, yeah, what should we do differently? Sprint 3, sprint 4, sprint 107. Oh, what should we do differently? This. So my key thing is different. I like different retrospective techniques each time. Right? I like different ones each time. Something new, something different, novelty factor. Scrum is a product like any other, and like any other product, people get bored with it, right? Unless you keep it interesting and engaged. All right. So in a computer game, that means DLC, adding new content. You know, in TV shows, it's new episodes. In Scrum, it's about changing the retrospective format. I change it every single sprint, something new, something different to keep people engaged, interested. Sometimes they fall flat, sometimes they go well. But the key thing is, it's people don't know what to expect. Something different and unusual. It gets energy in the room. It gets excitement in the room. I sometimes get the team to write them themselves, come up with your own retrospective formula. You know, that's a great trick because they invent the most. I've had some teams invent retrospectives that were almost forensic in their intensity. Of course, forgetting they're going to turn it on themselves. Like, if you've ever seen any film where there's some villain creating a super weapon, you know that super weapon's being used on the villain before the end of the film. That's what they do. Aha! This is really, oh my God, we're doing it to ourselves. Oh no. So that's what I really like. I vary. What I would say is, and again, this is personal preference, I love theming on topics. I like, oh, we're going to focus on billing or focus on this, right? What I don't like, and I know a lot of people do, but I find them toe-curlingly awful, is theming it on we're going to do one based on Super Mario Brothers. Or we're going to do a Top Gun retro. And I just like, if you do that to me, I die inside. I'm like, do you know what? I don't really want to discuss who the maverick and who the goose is of this team. I'm a great believer in fun, but fake frivolity, anything fake, any facade, anything that feels less than authentic, I get set off on. Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to also involve the team in that process, because obviously we are just one person in the team.
Yeah, and you're not sort of imposing your taste on them like a middle-aged father like me imposing my taste in music on my daughters. No, you will like new wave whether you like it or not. But there's one tip I wanted to give on retros. I wanted to squeeze in here because I love doing retrospective techniques in the sprint review, right, on the stakeholders, because secretly the review and retro are both retrospectives. It's just the retrospective is a process retrospective, and the But sprint review is actually a product retrospective. So I like to get a little bit, some sort of formula in there, some sort of method in there, just so the stakeholders can't sit there like Roman emperors in the Colosseum watching the developers as gladiators. Like, we are about to die, salute thee. Instead, I like to see, like, okay, let's put a little bit of heat on the audience. Okay, you've seen this stuff. Let's use some techniques to get some feedback on them. Hey, what would you do differently in this product? So
that's what I really like. Source the feedback.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's getting sweet, juicy, honey-flavored feedback out of their stakeholders and using techniques for that as well.
Talking about getting juicy, of course, the juiciest question of the week is, what does success mean for a Scrum Master? So, Nigel, give us your take.
That's a great one. What does success mean for a Scrum Master? So if we were Ken Schwaber, Jeff Sutherland, right, who I'd known for 25 years, it would all be about performance. Like, it would all be about performance, right? Famously, Sutherland did Double the Work in Half the Time book, the worst named book in history, because the last thing you want is double the work in half the time. You want double the value in half the time. So what I would do in terms of Scrum Mastery, I would never be measuring success on things like process fidelity. So if, again, rewind 20 years, there was a lot of work done on, okay, how do we judge the success of Scrum? And there was things like the Nokia test out there. And by the way, the Nigel scale I mentioned on a previous day was literally a joke on the Nokia test. If you weren't around for the Nokia test, the best thing about it was it wasn't a test and it wasn't invented by Nokia. But anyway, it was a Nokia Networks assessment. So it was a tool to assess your team's relative agility. So how agile is your team? Like, what methods are they using? How are they using them? How are they engaging with customers? Right? And it was very nobly meant, and it still exists out there in a variety of forms. The trouble is that it's not judging the right thing. Like compliance with a process isn't going to. No customer's going to come to you and say, do you know why I bought your product? Your remarkable compliance with your internal development process. What they're interested in is outcomes and impacts. So what I would do as a Scrum Master is want to be measured on outcome and impacts. So that's things like not velocity or anything silly like that, or the amount of stories we've done. Who cares? We've done 10,000 tickets. They're all rubbish. No one wants them. That's ridiculous. But it's about outcomes. So things about customer satisfaction, things about revenue generation, efficiencies, that sort of thing, just like a PO gets judged. But the other thing I would add in there is in terms of team satisfaction or team happiness. A happiness factor, whatever you want to call it, in terms of team contentness as well. So not only am I interested in, so a good PO would be interested in like outcomes and impacts and like stakeholder satisfaction, making my stakeholders not fire me. As a Scrum Master, that's interesting, but my stakeholders are my team mainly, so I'm interested in them as well. So, okay, how do my team feel about this? There's no point us being hugely successful if the team are deeply, deeply unhappy. They'll just leave. Because remember, team happiness is a lovely thing. As a business, it's not an end goal. As a business, it's an indicator to an end goal. So it's like a KPI. If my team is happy, they're not likely to leave. If my team is happy, they're likely to do a good job. These are all, it's an indicator towards success factors. So that's something I would always be paying attention on. Team contentness, outcomes of the team, impacts of the team, their results their product are having.
Great way to look at it. Thank you for sharing that with us, Nigel.
Cheers.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.